Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Today is Saturday night. It's a pretty late Saturday night, uh, June 3rd. Happy 40th birthday to my niece, Natasha. She doesn't know I make YouTube videos, but maybe one day she'll come across my channel. So happy birthday, Natasha. She's 40 years old today. I'm sure she'd be very happy that I just told the entire YouTube colony how old she is. I told myself I wouldn't speak up here very long just because the video I'm going to show you is, in my opinion, kind of long. We're going to take a look at my 1957 Topps set. So it's a set that I really enjoyed working on. So I'm just going to introduce the video, and I will see you all in a minute with the 1957 Topps set. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so let's take a look here. Got my cards in my binder. By the way, I'm hearing reports that these Ultra Pro baseball binders in black are kind of like out of circulation or low on stock. I saw a post on social media about it, and then the three places that I normally buy binders from out here in SoCal, they haven't had them in a while. They have football, they have basketball, they have hockey, no baseballs. So let me know if you see them in your area. So like with my other sets, I always put a one pocket sleeve here just at the beginning to, I don't know, layer the cards away from the outside world. One thing that's a little different from my 1957 set than my 1953 set, for those of you that watched that video, was if the cards were graded, I made photocopies of the slabs and put them in my sheets. I haven't had the opportunity to do that here. So what I'll do is go through the binder, and then once we go through the binder, I'll show you the graded cards I have. That way you can see the entire set. Now, the 1957 set, the baseball release was the earliest baseball card product to showcase the 2.5 by the 3.5 card dimensions that we're now accustomed to today in the hobby. I know that if you bought cards from 1952 to 1956, the cards were a little bigger. And this set was also, and I'm going to turn it over here just to show you, these are the first cards that had player stats covering their entire career on the card backs. This was the first time that Topps was able to do that, which is something they still do to this day. Now, in addition, it was also the first time that Topps had used full color photography of the players, as opposed to what they were doing, colorized images or works of art, so to speak. These are the first photographs. I think they were trying to emulate the 1953 Bowman set. While I would never compare either set. The 1957 set is nice, the photos are nice, but I wouldn't put them up to 1953 standards. But there are some good looking cards. Like I really like this Dick Groat card, these poses with Robin Roberts, Don Drysdale rookie. Besides the firsts, though, this is also the last time we would see the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers make an appearance in a Topps set. In 1958, both teams would move out to California. So these are the swan song cards, so to speak, of the great teams from New York, the Giants and the Dodgers. So as we go through here, and I showed you the Drysdale rookie, there are some great rookie cards on this set. Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, Don Drysdale, Bill Mazeroski, Jim Bunning, manager Whitey Herzog, just to name a few. So here's where we start seeing a lot of rookie cards. We're starting to see photographs. We're starting to see stats on the back. It's Frank Torrey, Joe's brother, Carl Furillo of the Dodgers. And then one thing we're going to see, and we're going to approach it here in a few minutes, this set had 3 combo cards. We saw them introduced in 1954, well actually 1953 if you're a Bowman collector, because they had combo cards which featured several players on one card. 1954 Topps did it with the brothers. And then in 1957, Topps did it to 3 cards. And we're not close to one yet, but I'll point it out when we get there. So when I mentioned lasts, in regards to firsts, we're going to actually, well, I'll talk about it now. The last printed card of Roy Campanella in his active career, Hank Aaron, it actually showcases the slugger in reverse negative. And also, in addition, there's several uncorrected errors, but the one card there's two versions of is card number 176, and that's Gene Baker. There's Warren Spahn, by the way. Elston Howard. For Gene Baker, the card features a printing issue on the back that resulted in his name as appearing Bake P as opposed to Baker. There's also a corrected version. I have the corrected version. I looked once for the mistake card, and it cost some money. Maybe someday I'll go ahead and get it. There's our first combo card. The presidents of the American League and the National League, Warren Harridge and Warren Giles, are the presidents of their respective leagues. So those are your first look at combo cards. Well, and then in the last 7 cards of the set, you will see 2 more combo cards, one featuring Yankees and one featuring Dodgers. Now, this set, there's Ken Boyer, Don Newcomb, Bill Skowron, Moose, for my Yankee friends, Del Crandall. This set was distributed in, there's 407 cards in the series, Minnie Minoso. And there are 5 different series. Card numbers 1 through 88 is Series 1. 89 through 176 is Series 2. There's Bob Friend. Series 3 is 177 to 264. Series 4 is 265 to 352. And the final set is 353 to 407. Red Shandings on the Giants at that point. The big thing, here's a popular card, Ted Kluszewski. That was a hard one to get raw. I felt like a lot of people, the prices are pretty high on that card. But I finally ended up getting it, and it's a great card. The one thing about this set, the high numbers, they're not as difficult to obtain as the 4th series, card numbers 265 to 352. I bought these cards in a lot. In an auction lot. I think I won roughly 350 cards, Chicago Cubs team card. I won, like I said, 350 cards in a card lot. And a lot of them that were missing were from that 4th series. So Jerry Coleman, former Yankee second baseman, and also San Diego. I know him as a San Diego Padres announcer. Detroit Tigers team photo. So going back to Series 4, Gil McDougall, Hoyt Wilhelm, those cards are harder to find. And it's reflected in auctions on eBay or even from auction houses. Those cards are a little bit more pricey, Kansas City A's, than cards from the other set. Series 1 and 2 are filled with Hall of Famers. You'll notice when I show you my graded cards. Rocky Calavito rookie, Enos Slaughter. That might be Enos's last card. I could be wrong. But yeah, Series 1 and 2 is filled with Hall of Famers. There's Hall of Famers, though. As I mentioned to you, Series 4, Brooks Robinson, Sandy Koufax, and Jim Bunning. They're in Series 4. So they're spread out, but I would say that Series 1 and 2 have tons. I don't know why. I really love this card. Jay Jablonski, the third baseman for the Cubs. I never knew the Cubs wore the vests or the sleeveless, whatever you want to call it. They looked really good in those. So that's a really good pose there. And let's see who else, if there's anyone recognizable. Hall of Famer George Kell. I chose not to get all the Hall of Famers graded. I would say I have roughly maybe 20 graded cards. I like this card as well. These Cub cards, for some reason, to me stand out. Hank Bauer, St. Louis Cardinals team. Charlie Neal of the Dodgers. I can't pass up looking at a Dodger. I like the Joe Ginsberg card on the Orioles. It looks like he's playing on the Red Sox, but those are the Orioles. Billy Lowe's, former Dodger. Eddie Matthews. I think I got that at Burbank Sports Cards. Orioles team set. Carl Erskine. I had the Dodger team set a few years ago, so between that and the lot, the big lot that I won, I think I won it from Heritage, as I said. This was one of the quicker sets that I finished. Bobby Thompson, Washington Senators team. Bobby Shantz. I don't remember the Yankees having these stripes on their uniforms like that. But you see the photos are all pretty simple. Some people don't like the different colors. First name's in yellow, last name's in white. Team name is in white, position is in yellow. Some people don't like that. It doesn't bother me, but everybody's just a little different. Johnny Padres, that was a tough one to get. Some of these, the Dodgers and the Yankee cards, for some reason, always cost a little bit more than the other teams do. Don Zimmer. I had to buy a second one of these because the first one I got it at a good deal, but then when I bought it, it looked nicer in the photograph. So I went out and bought another one. The only reason I bring up Ted Abernathy is because he was in one of the first packs I ever bought in 1973. By then he was on the Royals. So I'm amazed to see that he had such a long career because, to be honest with you, I never heard of him. But I just remembered having his baseball card in 1973. And as we go through here, a lot of these cards are taken at Yankee Stadium, Polo Grounds, some Ebbets Field. I just realized I think I might need a new one of Joe Cunningham here on the Cardinals. My man Mike Garcia. I grew up in the town next to his. Tony Kubek, rookie. That was a hard one to get. People were looking for a lot of money on that one for some reason. I know it's his rookie card, and I know he plays for the Yankees. I, again, remember him as the NBC color commentator with Tony Kubek in the 70s, or with Kurt Gowdy in the 70s. Giants team. Final Brooklyn Dodgers card, team card. New York Giants. They're on the same page here. The White Sox. Ernie Johnson. I know Ernie Johnson as the announcer of the Atlanta Braves a long, long time ago when TBS Superstation first showed up on cable. And yeah, his son is now the NBA on TNT, Ernie Johnson. But I remember him as a baseball announcer, and this Ernie Johnson was a damn good baseball announcer. That was back when they had Skip Carey. I'm going to miss whoever else is in that group. Don Sutton, I think, was in there. Joe Simpson. But that's Ernie Johnson. Haywood Sullivan. I think he'd become the GM one day of the Red Sox. No inaction shots here, but the poses kind of try to make it look like they're in action. They're not, but still, good-looking car. I think this is a good-looking set. Yeah, it definitely has some flaws. There are some photos, Mickey Mantle, that, I wish were better. Eddie Casco, I remember him as the Boston Red Sox manager in the 70s. Let's see. I like the Reds. The Reds also had the, whatever you want to call them, the sleeveless jerseys. Look at the Cubs back then. They had their full name on their jerseys. Chicago and then Cubs. Let's see. Juan Pizarro. I remember him in the 70s with the Astros. So some of these guys still had careers when I started watching baseball in these early 70s. Ralph Terry, Chuck Tanner, former future manager of the White Sox and the Oakland A's, and I believe the manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates when they won the World Series in 1979. Okay, we're getting near the end. Dodger Sluggers, card number 400. I'll profile that one a little bit more because I do have a graded version of that as well. And we're getting near the end of the set. Is that actually it? Nope, we got one last one here. Excuse the cards in the back. I threw in some 1964 Topps Giants in there. And the last card is Bob Hale, card number 406. Card number 407 is actually the Yankee Sluggers. I'll show you that in the graded cards. There's also 4 unnumbered checklist cards that accompany the set, and they feature multiple series on each card. The checklist cards they're really difficult to find in any sort of mid to high grade condition. The cards that I keep finding are pretty beat up. The checklist can be found with both a big Bloney ad or a bazooka ad. Now, most set builders, I'm not included in this, most set builders include the various contest cards and checklists, which is 8 cards, as part of the master set. I'm not going to do that. They're not required for the completion of the base set. For me, it's just important to have the 407 cards. You know, maybe I'd go out there and look for a Gene Baker if I could find a deal on him. And but other than that, nah, I'm good with these 407 cards. So let me do some changes here, and I'll show you my graded cards. All right, so let's take a look at the graded cards. These are in numerical order. Like I said, I think there's between 20 and 25 here. So I believe almost everybody's a Hall of Famer, but we'll start off with Ted Williams. Card number 1. Ted was nearing the end of a small Topps contract from 1954. So he has a 54, a 55, a 56, a 57, and a 58 card. 54, I think he has 2 cards actually. So I've got this Ted Williams. Card number 2, and as I mentioned, Series 1 especially, but Series 2 also, a lot of Hall of Famers. They really stacked it early. Yogi Berra, card number 2. There's Yogi's stats in the back. Now you already saw there was already one card in the binder, an ungraded card, but I bought this before I bought my lot. So here's Luis Aparicio. And a lot of these cards from 57, I was able to get good deals on them. I just got really lucky. This was one of the easier sets I've ever worked on, and I just got really lucky. Card number 10 is Willie Mays in a SGC 3. I know this card has some detractors. It doesn't bother me. I think it's an okay card. But I know some people aren't too fond of it, but this one's pretty good. So Willie Mays, card number 10. The next couple of cards you've already seen because I had them ungraded. There's Robin Roberts, card number 15. And again, if you see them, it's just, if you're seeing ungraded cards and graded cards, it's just I bought the graded card before I ever won that lot. So there's Robin Roberts. As I mentioned, Don Drysdale. This is the graded version. I have a trimmed card. It's ungraded in my binder. Don Drysdale. Card number 20, the previously mentioned Hank Aaron. Batting left-handed, reverse negative here. They just never bothered to fix it. I actually kind of like this card that way, though. Braves had cool uniforms back then. Card number 20 is Hank Aaron. Card number 24, the rookie Bill Mazeroski. Maz is an expensive card to pick up. I paid a lot. In my opinion, I paid a little over VCP, and since then, VCP has dropped 25% on this card. but I was working on the set. I definitely wanted to finish it. This was like one of the last 5, 6 cards I needed to complete the set. So that's Bill Mazeroski. Pee Wee Reese. I bought this from South Bay Cards, my local card store in Lomita, years ago. I remember it cost me $25, and I thought that was a lot of money back then to be spending on a PSA 4 of Pee Wee. But I did it, and I'm glad I did. That's Ebbets Field in the background. Harold Reese. Okay, one of the big rookie cards, Frank Robinson. You'll hear every YouTuber who has extensive knowledge say that Frank Robinson is arguably the most underrated cards in collection history. I do not understand how little I paid for this rookie card. A man with his numbers, his card should be more valuable. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm thankful I picked up the card at a good price, that's for sure, but he put up really damn good numbers. So I'm always surprised when I find a Frank Robinson card because I feel like I've gotten a deal on every one that I've ever owned. Nellie Fox, another Hall of Famer. I think this might be my highest grade in a 7. The old Yankee Stadium in the background. And then card number 40 is Early Win. Like those Indians uniforms back then. That's in a PSA 6. I don't think I paid like 20 for that. Ernie Banks, card number 55 in a PSA 6. One of my favorite Ernie cards. I would say, I don't have the rookie. I wish I did. I have the 55, I have the 57, and then I have a 65, and I have a 67 as well. That's a good looking Banks. Oh, one of my favorite cards, just because this is one of my favorite players. Roberto Clemente, or as he's known on this card, Bob Clemente, in a PSA 5. I won, as I mentioned, I won a lot from Heritage, I think it was Heritage Auctions, roughly 350 different cards, all of them ungraded with the exception of 2, this card and the Sandy Koufax card. So here is Roberto Clemente. I had this card as a kid. It's a long story. Someday I'm going to make a show about it, about 3 or 4 cards that I used to have as a kid. This one has a good story. I'll tell it to you guys one day. Let's see, card number 95, Mickey Mantle. Mantle has better cards. I don't mind this card. I guess there's some ghost, if you look at it close enough, and when I'm looking at it here via my camera, I can't see it, but I know I can see it with the naked eye. There's someone like cropped out of here. I think a photographer or something. But that's Mickey Mantle. I bought this at the very first Burbank card show. That was my memory that day, was that I bought that card. And this was a year, the very first one was like almost a year ago. And picked this one up. That was the only card I bought. Next one, card number 120, Bob Lemon. You can tell the slab's cracked a little here. That's a really good looking card. I'm a big Bob Lemon fan. By the time I started watching baseball, Bob Lemon was a manager. He'd already managed the Royals, and he was brought in to replace Billy Martin on the Yankees. I want to say he also managed the White Sox. I could be wrong there, though. Al Kaline. At the time, I got a great deal on this card. And I'm not, I shouldn't say I don't look at VCP, but I do look at VCP. And this card's dropped a lot since I got the deal on it, but I still like this card a lot, Al Kaline. This was probably my very first graded card ever. First card from the 1957 set. I know that. I bought this years and years ago, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, in a box of Dodger cards. and this was in there. I think I only paid, I paid probably like $20 to $30 for the box. It was like a box of 1,000 Dodger cards. And there's Duke Snider. This next card, along with the previously mentioned Pee Wee Reese, I bought this at the South Bay Cards in Lomita. I paid $25 for this one. And I like this card a lot. His last player card. He'd have one more card in 1958, a symbol of courage. He was already in a wheelchair by that point. So this is his last playing day cards. And for those of you who asked, yes, he would have gone to Los Angeles with the Dodgers the following year. I did see an interview with him that he'd already either purchased or rented a house in Redondo Beach. And he was planning on playing the 1958 season with the Dodgers in L.A. Just didn't happen. So there's Roy Campanella. Now here's the one and only case that it was cheaper for me to buy a graded card than it was the ungraded card. Bobby Richardson. I believe, I'm 99.9% sure this is his rookie card. And this is a 4th series card. And every time this card came up ungraded on eBay, it would go through the roof. And I was just stunned. Same thing was happening with Tony Kubek that I mentioned to you when I was showing you the binders. The Kubek, eventually, I found one ungraded for $30. When it came to Richardson, I never got that lucky. And then one day I stumbled upon this 6 in an auction. I got it way under VCP. It was more than I still planned to pay for it, but I figured it's under VCP, it's graded. You know, he's a very popular Yankee. And I go, let's take it. So, and it's a nice looking card. I'm assuming those are apartment buildings in the background there. That's Bobby Richardson. Here is Sandy Koufax. I have this one in a PSA 5. I also have a PSA 6 that I won with that Roberto Clemente card I just showed you a moment ago. But I had already bought this card, and this is one, I actually like the 5 more than I like the 6. So the 5 is the one that goes on my display wall. The 6 is in the binder or the binder case that doesn't see the light of day. Someday I'd like to sell it or include it on a trade for a big card. But for now, I'm going to sit on 2 Sandy Koufax cards. I don't have many doubles. This one is one of them that I do. The last card that I needed to finish this set, and I finished it this year at the Burbank Card Show, was the Brooks Robinson rookie card. I was at the Long Beach Card Show the week before the Burbank Card Show, and Ashish J was there, and I asked him if he had a Brooks Robinson, and he said he did. The only problem was his son was at the Houston Card Show at the same exact time that the Long Beach show was going on, and he took the card with him to Texas. He found out that the card was still available. They sent me a photo. I left a $100 deposit with the promise that Ashish would bring the card to Burbank the following week, and a week later we completed this deal. This just happened at the end of January, beginning of February. So this is the last card. This was the last card that I needed to complete this set. I loved working on this set. This set is kind of one of my dreams, and I'll explain why in a moment. Jim Bunning rookie card. There's the Jim Bunning. And my last 2 cards, you might have heard this story before. Dodger Sluggers. I showed you the ungraded card in my binder that I purchased. This card was bought as a Christmas gift from my brother several years ago, and I didn't have the heart to tell him that I already owned the card. So this one is on my display wall, my Dodger display wall, and the ungraded one goes in my binder. So they're both being used. This is a great card. I've often wondered, though, if Jackie Robinson hadn't been traded to the Giants the previous offseason and was still playing with the Dodgers, would he have taken Carl Furillo's place? I don't think so. Furillo was starting to peak as a player at this point. There he is with Gil Hodges, Roy Campanella, and Duke Snider. One of my favorite Dodger cards, to be perfectly honest with you. And my last card of the set, 1957 Topps Power Hitters, Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle. And that completes the 407 cards. Same amount of cards as the 1952 Topps set. And the 57, and I didn't mention this at all until just now, but the 57 set is that's the first look I ever got at vintage as a child. My friends and I collected cards from the 70s, 1973 to 1980. But I had a couple of friends, one of them I'm actually still friends with, but we had a friend named Dan, and his dad had some 1957 cards that he gave to my friend Dan, and then Dan and his brother just kept adding to it. And this was my first look at old cards. This was my first look at vintage cards. And so the 57 set's kind of special. Dan worked on it. I don't think he ever finished it. I could be wrong, but I don't think he finished it. I know that he gave up card collecting. I have no idea what happened to those cards. But kind of in his honor, I worked on this set. And it's a great set. 57 set's a beautiful set. It's one of the two sets I have from the 50s along with 1953. And just a beautiful set. I really do like it. And it was, like I said, fun to work on. I know I'm repeating myself here. If you've lasted this long, thank you so much for staying with me. We will catch you all next week. Have a great weekend.